I want to also thank Yuri Bauer and Lenny Sanchez and all the organizing committee for organizing a very, very successful conference. And you guys must be very, very glad and happy. Thank you. So I first want to thank the funding agencies, the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health, who are the agencies that fund the work that my students and I do, and acknowledge the help of all the collaborators. So on the 125th anniversary of the journal Science, Kennedy and Norman in 2005 identified the biological basis of second language learning as one of the top 125 questions to be answered in the next 25 years of research. So we must be really happy that we're actually part of, working towards an answer to this question. And what I'm showing in this graph here is the fact that there has been a virtual explosion on research on second language acquisition and bilingualism. So if you see, beginning from 1985 to 89, research on second language acquisition depicted in the red bar and bilingualism depicted in the black bar were actually quite small. And then you see these bars growing in terms of the number of papers. And this is really exciting. This is really exciting because it makes conferences like this important and possible. And so what does the upsurge on research on bilingualism shows? Well, it shows that the consequences of bilingualism are not limited to enhancing opportunities for social interaction, for economic advancement, and for increasing intercultural understanding, but also that they reflect a reorganization of the mind and the brain in ways that create resilience under conditions of stress, and that counters some of the deleterious effects of poverty and disease. So bilingualism has consequences for the mind and brain, and this is what I want to talk to you about today. So I'm shifting gears back to research that is a bit more lab-based and psycholinguistic-based. Now, the greatest challenge to multilingualism in the US is really all the mythology about multilingualism. And you heard some of this yesterday and this morning in Dr. Antonella Sorace's plenary and welcome yesterday. And so, if we summarize all of the mythology around bilingualism and multilingualism, something that we can say is that people have the mistaken belief that learning a second or third language is cognitively unnatural, and that it creates consequences that are problematic at different points of the lifespan. However, the new research, especially the work that has been made possible thanks to the revolution in neuroscience, has shown that all the languages that an individual has and knows and uses are processed in an integrated linguistic system in which there are extensive interactions between the languages that need to be resolved. And so the take-home message here is that life experience as a bilingual changes the mind and the brain. Now, the benefits of bilingualism, and again, Dr. Sorace spoke about this morning, the benefits of bilingualism are more evident for older bilinguals and for bilingual babies, and sometimes they are not as clear for younger bilinguals, and we can talk about why the reasons for that, perhaps if there is time for questions. And they are very visible in these populations when you look at contexts in which individuals are engaged in tasks that require switching a task from one task to the other. So the question is, why is it that these tasks, when you're a bilingual or a monolingual, you are switching tasks from doing the one task and then moving to the other? How come it is these switching tasks that show the most benefits? One of the going hypotheses is that switching tasks gives rise to competition that requires regulation, that requires bilinguals to regulate what they do in the minds. And although that requirement for regulation may produce some initial costs during learning, it appears to be the other side of a process that produces significant benefits to the development of cognitive control. And cognitive control is what humans need to use in order to engage tasks, complete different types of problems, sometimes easy, sometimes difficult, and so forth. So let me give you a few examples. The example I'm giving you here is a switching task with older bilinguals. And so, this is a perceptual task in which these older bilinguals and older monolinguals were actually asked to indicate via a cue whether the particular word, the particular shapes here were categorized either by color or by shape. And so, for example, the cue here is shape on the first row. And so participants had to decide if the stimulus was either a square or a circle, all right? On the second type, on the second block, participants had to decide if the stimulus was red or blue. And as Dr. Acha explained this morning, in order to complete this task appropriately, when you are faced with a red circle, you have to ignore the fact that the circle is red to say that it's a circle, okay? In the case of the color, you have to ignore the fact that this is a circle and indicate that it's blue. What's interesting is what happens in the switch block. So in these switch blocks, the cue switches between shape and color. And what the research shows is that bilinguals are much better at doing this task with fewer errors than monolinguals are. And this is what I show in what we show in this graph to the right, where the older bilinguals, these are the reaction time of the older monolinguals, and the purple bar, and you can see that it's higher than the reaction time of the older bilinguals. So older bilinguals are much faster and more accurate at these tasks. And then the gray and black bars are the bars showing the performance of the younger bilinguals, which doesn't show a huge difference. Now, what's really fascinating is that these effects of switching and cue tasks and paying attention to a particular set of instructions to complete a task is even visible in 7-month-old bilingual infants. Now, of course, we know that infants who are 7 months old don't speak, so how are they bilingual? And in these studies, bilingualism in infants is defined as babies who have parents who speak 2 languages at home. All right, so in this particular experiment, again, babies had to pay attention to a cue. So bilingual